So, dear participants, let me introduce my topic, linguistic and semantic representation of the word concept by phraseological units. So, ambiguity in the interpretation of main concepts within the conceptual study, diversity, and approaches to the analysis of linguistic phenomena seems to be common in terms of formation of a new scientific direction. The concept itself does not have an unanimous definition either. It is considered a complex of culturally determined ideas about the subject, as well as the union of mental and psychic resources of our consciousness, those information structures that reflect human knowledge and experience. The aim of this paper is to reveal the semantics of the word concept by means of phraseological units, the study of which is based on knowledge of cultural studies because they contain elements of the national color and mentality of the people. This approach makes it possible to understand the meaning and use of phraseological units in a specific cultural context. Additional task is to apply contextual semantic analysis using LIWC 22 software in order to reveal word semantics according to the emotion, tone, and cognitive processes and statistically represent the linguistic data. So war is usually considered as a concept in the conceptual picture of the world in linguistics, which justifies its significance and relevance. However, this paper focuses on the perception of war around the world with attention to unknown users of social networks, which diversifies the linguosemantic analysis of the material. Unfortunately, in the light of the events of recent months in our country, we can conclude that the relevance of researching this concept is beyond doubt, as social networks are full of aggressive sentiments in the comments. Since we have chosen the social network Reddit as the basis for linguistic analysis, the verbal disclosure of the consequences of war is covered in internet discourse, this megathread section in Reddit. The meaning of such a concept is conditional since the phenomenon of war is consciously perceived in different ways. For most people, war is associated with coercion, loss, destruction, and death. In this paper, we examine social comments on the social network Reddit, which we consider both positive and negative, as well as distinct cognitive processes. It is worth noting that the social representation of war implies nothing more than a negative perception. Although we analyze the semantics of the comments, and they can be interpreted both positively and negatively depending on the degree of perception. There is also additional task to incorporate phraseological means into the linguistic and semantic analysis of war concept. So in this paper, the concept of war is uncovered through a set of phraseological units allocated from Cambridge and Macmillan dictionaries, where the meaning of one and the same unit from one source has been compared with those units from other sources in order to make sure that assigning the unit to the military thematic group is relevant. Phraseological units consist of words that are used together, so they cannot be considered separately. They have their own meaning, which may differ from the meaning of the individual words that make up the phraseological unit. This time, there is an attempt to consider English phraseological units, which are close in meaning to our national and cultural peculiarities, mainly to the perception of war realities in Ukraine. The reason is that the linguistic data has been allocated on the basis of the Reddit social media with English language content in order to trace the peculiarities of attitude of foreign network users to the war in Ukraine. In addition, phraseological units help enrich the vocabulary and improve the level of understanding of a foreign language. An important aspect of studying phraseological units is their role in the communicative process and interaction of speakers. Phraseologisms are highly expressive. They help emphasize emotional states and shades of speech. Among the analyzed phraseological units of the thematic group war in the English language, their adjectival, adverbial, and prepositional categories are noted. Words and phrases referring to military sphere are highlighted in bold. So those units are not being highlighted in bold include their linguistic interpretation referring to military actions in brackets. So the following examples are demonstrated on this slide. After a thorough linguistic analysis of the Reddit posts and comments, it was established that some individual users tend to use phraseological units in their speech while chatting. So the aim of this research is to discover as many cases as it is possible those phraseological units representing the concept of war within the Reddit post and their comments, and apply textual semantic analysis by means of this software to the close context of these phraseological units discovered in a form of words, phrases, textual fragments based on the word semantics. The final step of the complex linguistic analysis is to indicate whether there are only negative emotions or positive emotions, as well as cognitive processes, and compare their percentage statistics with average for social media language. Unlike previous papers, where the author discovered the semantics of war within the particular Reddit community, in this paper, it is impossible to choose a certain Reddit section, as it is a rare chance to reveal any of the war phraseological units within the digital media. So firstly, the linguistic analysis lies in filtering all the phraseological units concerning war in a search space, and thoroughly analysis of their contents in order to reveal semantic groups necessary for textual semantic analysis by means of this software, and further comparison in a statistical way. So this is why one of the tasks of this paper is also to discover the context these military phraseological units are surrounded by. Secondly, the structure of the analyzed linguistic data has the following description. So we will have a structure like phraseological unit in brackets. It's equivalent from within the Reddit post section and semantic groups allocated according to the context this phraseological unit has been referred to. In each semantic group, we highlight words and phrases in bold, which denote affiliation to the certain emotional state. There have been allocated 9 phraseological units. The first, the second, the third, the fourth, the fifth, the sixth, the seventh, the 8th, and the 9th. So only 9 out of 31 phraseological units have been linguistically and semantically analyzed, as only the mentioned above units were found in the Reddit social media within the word post and comment sections. When looking at them from a linguistic point of view, they all include words and phrases referring to military actions, military sphere, which proves the relevance of the research. So looking at this figure of the percentage frequency of software textual analysis of the Reddit post sections and their comments, there is a vivid evidence that the war concept is represented by phraseological units in a total negative way. Even there are some positive semantic groups singled out, still our research is less positive in perception than in comparison to the average for social media language. Negative tone in our textual prevailed in percentage over an average for social media, proving war to be the most destructive act against humanity. Cognitive processes also dominate over the average for social media language, as each user's statement concerning war semantics refer to speculations and considerations. It is worth stating that not so often the war news within Reddit social media is tracked down by foreign users, and the war in Ukraine is not as much debated nowadays as it was a year ago. However, this research showed that the negative word semantics may be beneficial for our country, judging from the semantic analysis using phraseological units and negative state itself within the phraseological unit, but positive semantic implied, notwithstanding the fact that negative emotions towards war prevailed. So, providing an outline of the research, verbalization of war concept using phraseological units The markers of semantic state of the Reddit media comment statement was provided. According to the analyzed military-oriented phraseological units, their classification and linguistic interpretation were presented. The Reddit social environment allowed to reveal semantic context of the word concept through a set of phraseological units. A variety of Reddit word posts and comments were interpretively and semantically analyzed. Linguistic data was presented by textual software IWC 22 in a percentage ratio, and the following perspective is implied. Thank you so much for your attention.